Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's software development information session. We are going to talk about our software development bootcamp, and we're going to talk a little bit about the software development industry. But before I get going here and actually kick off the event, first off, I'd just like to make sure everybody can see me and hear me okay. If you can, just maybe let me know in the chat off to the right-hand side there. Give me a thumbs up emoji or just say, hey, I can see you, Tyler. Awesome, awesome. Thank you. I see a thumbs up, a couple thumbs ups over there. Beautiful. And so that's the chat area down in the bottom right corner there. Beside that, there is the questions tab. And what what I'm going to ask is if you guys have any questions throughout the session today for myself, for the guest speaker, just in general, feel free to go ahead and put them in the questions tab. And we are going to thoughtfully ignore them while we go through the session with the purpose that we're going to do a live Q&A with you guys at the end. So if you put anything in there and we don't answer it right away, I promise you we are going to get back to it at the end. We just kind of want to answer it as a class so everybody can see it, and I can put the questions up on the screen there at the end. So that's the questions tab. There's also a polls tab down there. I've added a couple polls for this session. One of them, actually, no, I guess both of them you could probably fill out right away. So feel free to fill those out at your leisure throughout the live event here. And then beside that is just the people tab. So you can kind of see all of the folks who are in here with you guys and with us. So that's the room here. Go ahead and share where you are joining us from in the chat. I am personally from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Well, it's where I live now. I am actually originally from Niagara Falls, Ontario. And I've lived in Ontario, I've lived in BC, and in Alberta, in 3 provinces here. So Canada, Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, BC, Vancouver, Kelowna, Burnaby. Welcome, welcome, Montreal, Vancouver. Welcome, everybody. I had a feeling it was going to be a very heavy Canadian crowd here today. So yeah, welcome, everyone. Hopefully the weather's nice in your cities too. It's pretty nice in Calgary here today. So a little bit past the fire smoke that we've had blowing through. I guess there's probably some out there still, but so without further ado, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get this event kicked off. I'm going to get the presentation queued up here, and then we can go ahead and start the presentation. So today's presentation name again is Software Development Bootcamp with AI Integration. This session is meant to focus a bit on industry information, but mostly on our Software Development Bootcamp and kind of what that entails, the outcomes, the course content, and of course, some of the AI tools and things we're using in there as well. So I'll start here by introducing myself. So my name is Tyler Trapp. I am the event host for today, but I'm also the marketing events manager for Circuit Stream. I've been with this company for just about 3 years. I think my work anniversary might actually be tomorrow, if I remember that correctly. And before that, I worked in travel and tourism for over 10 years. We will also have an amazing guest speaker joining us today. Yashi is a Circuit Stream Software Development Bootcamp instructor. And I'm going to invite her up on stage in just a few minutes to talk a little bit about herself, about the course, the outcomes, and of course, some of the tools, like I mentioned, the AI tools and other tools that we're using in the course there as well. So I'll get her up here in not too long. Before that, I'm just going to share a little bit of information about us at Circuit Stream and a little bit of information about the Canadian software development industry for you guys. So Circuit Stream began in 2015 through a network of developers, designers, and creators, and is now a leading provider of technology learning for adults and for teens in spaces like AR, VR, game development and design, software development, program management, product design, lots of different spaces. So that's just a few areas that we cover. We partner with leading industry companies and leading educational institutions to offer the courses and training to those who are looking to learn more about emerging technologies. On screen there right now, you can see our university partners, and you can see a little handful snapshot of some of our corporate partners there too. So why launch a career in software development? Software developers collaborate with project managers, designers, and end users to understand requirements and translate them into functional software solutions. They're responsible for designing, coding, testing, and maintaining software applications and systems. The combination of intellectual challenge, creative expression, collaboration, and impact makes being a software developer a deeply fulfilling and very rewarding profession. On screen, you can see some of the top reasons why people may choose to work as software developers. And something I should mention here, guys, is this whole session is going to be recorded. So this slide here is just a little bit lighter in terms of stats, but some of the other slides I have coming up will have a few stats there on salary information, industry details. So feel free to write that down. Feel free to take screenshots, but this whole session will be recorded. So you're going to get a recording in your inbox at the end. Check your junk mail too, just in case. But the whole thing should be emailed out to you. So, and if you don't receive that for any reason, of course, let us know. But yeah, feel free to take notes, feel free to take screenshots, take pictures, but you can also just kind of relax and take the information in and then access the recording afterwards there. So acquiring software development skills in Canada positions individuals to excel in a variety of industries and contribute to economic growth. The average salary for a software developer in Canada right now is $104,000 per year. This is overall in Canada. Now looking a little bit closer at British Columbia, there are many different titles that people are being hired for. Programmers, software engineers, front-end, back-end developers. According to the BC Tech Association, there are over 15,000 job openings for software developers in BC each year, and over 220,000 people directly employed in that industry just within the province, which is a huge number. 220,000 people working in one province and one industry is crazy. So tons of opportunity here in BC. Software development opportunities in Quebec are also abundant and varied, especially in major cities like Montreal and Quebec City. The average annual salary for software developers in Quebec is $97,000. So a little bit more information specific to Montreal and Quebec there. Now, for the boot camp, the speaker and myself are going to dive a little bit deeper into the intricacies and just areas of the boot camp. But to give you a general overview of it, the hands-on 36-week software development boot camp is both online and project-based. It has 5 hours of live class per week, 2.5 hours of technical biweekly career labs, and 10 hours of independent study. There are weekly assignments, in-class challenges, portfolio projects, and students complete the course with a capstone project at the end of the bootcamp. Over the course of 36 weeks, you will acquire the skills to master the craft of developing advanced, scalable software systems, including leveraging modern AI tools to code faster and smarter. The foundational course is excellent at the starting point for those aiming to establish a career in software development, offering an in-depth introduction to the industry's core practices and emerging trends. So it's great for beginners. You don't have to have any prior experience coming into this. But as we say for any of our boot camps, if you do have a bit of prior experience, then the first week or so may be a little bit of a refresher for you, because we do start these at a beginner level, but the boot camp, so it advances quite rapidly as you go through the entire course, the 36 weeks there. So. Our bootcamp graduates emerge with a comprehensive set of skills that prepare them for success in the dynamic field of software development. Through in-depth modules like Software Development Foundations, students gain the ability to conceptualize and create solutions to complex problems, fostering critical thinking and analytical reasoning. Graduates are also educated in areas like front-end development, full-stack integration, system design, and algorithmic thinking, AI-enhanced software development, and more, as you can see on the screen here. Students receive career development support, and they complete this bootcamp with a software developer certification. You can see the different levels or the different certification badges on the screen here. On the left would be straight through Circuit Stream if you take the course through us direct. If you take the course through us in combination with one of our university partners, those would be the two badges you see there with UBC and McGill in the badge there. And speaking of career development support, I'm going to invite Winai up on stage. I had a note in here, sorry, from a previous one here, Winai, but welcome to the stage. I'm going to allow Winai to share some information about the career support. So take it away, Winai.
Thanks, Tyler. All right, so our career labs teach students how to leverage technical and behavioral strengths, gain awareness of the digital ecosystem, create compelling portfolios, elevate digital presence, learn how to network effectively, and become interview ready for industry jobs. Our career and networking support really sets our programs apart from others you may find. Every student has different objectives coming in, but for those that are looking for new jobs or to improve their current positions, find this aspect of the course incredibly helpful. As part of the career support, our bootcamps also come with a student pitch day, which happens towards the end of the program. Students have the opportunity to showcase their capstone projects to hiring and industry partners. This event is an amazing way to add people to your network, be considered for any job openings they may have, or to just receive feedback on your projects from hiring managers working in the industry. Here are some examples of our hiring partners for our Software Development Bootcamp. You may attend our upcoming pitch days. Who may attend our upcoming pitch days, sorry. So you can also expect to see some of these industry partners in our exclusive AMA sessions, which are also a great opportunity to network with potential employers. Thank you. Thanks, Tyler.
Thanks, One Eye. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, both of those are amazing opportunities for the students. They have a pitch day at the end of their course, and we invite, these are some of our partners here on the screen, but we invite these companies plus a whole bunch more to come in and view the student projects. And then in addition to that, when I was just saying, we also do Ask Me Anything sessions where we'll just bring an industry professional in the midst of the boot camp, invite all of the students in and let them just kind of pick the brain of somebody who's currently working in the industry as a professional. So just a great connection from our students right into industry opportunities that way. So thank you again, Winai. And now, without further ado, I am going to officially invite our guest speaker up on stage for the day. Yashi is one of our Software Bootcamp instructors, and I'm going to ask her some questions about the course here. So welcome to the stage, Yashi.
Thanks, Tyler. Hi, everyone. I'm Yashi, and I'm a software developer bootcamp instructor here at CircuitStream. I've worked as a software developer in the industry for about 5 years or so now. So, been there. I've been working there for quite some time, so got some experience under my belt.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I'll start off here and I'll ask you some questions maybe about the course structure itself. So I just shared a little bit about the course and some of the outcomes there, but maybe you could start off by just giving like an overview of the boot camp, the curriculum, and some of the key topics that are covered.
Awesome, for sure. So I know that you've introduced that we're starting off foundation stuff so that you get accustomed to the environment, set up some of the stuff. That's exactly what we do when we start off our courses. You're set up with like different kinds of environments that we need to work in the software development industry, and all of them are industry relevant practices that we do. We start off with doing JavaScript to understand how everything functions and how to write code in general, and make it interactive by having web development started first. So you start by making HTML, CSS, all these sorts of things that are easy to visualize. So that helps you get started with the course. Then we move on to understanding how the entire internet works. How do we all pieces and the parts gel together, work together, what are the engines and all these sorts of things. Start off with the backend. So we use Node.js as a backend service that we use, or the framework that we use. So we get started with developing the core, understanding how exactly all the APIs work, what kind of architectures should we be using, what kind of practices software developers should be using, all these sorts of things goes in. We move on to doing full stack integration, so just understanding how the front end pieces work, how the back end pieces work, and just integrating them together. So understanding the integration part there, what kind of technologies are out there. So we have like EJS, different kinds of partials that we create. So it still uses HTML, CSS, but understanding what can we do better to serve dynamic data to our users. And then we move on to doing some of the more front-end heavy work, which is understanding how JavaScript framework works, like React, and different kinds of practices within React, because obviously it's a big framework. It's very famous. I think 70% of the companies out there would be using React right now as one of their front-end frameworks. So we cover most of the kinds of practices you should be following when you're doing front-end development. And then again, integrating that kind of framework with how we have developed our backend using Node.js. So it goes hand in, after the first 3 units, it goes hand in hand in terms of how backend and frontend units are set up. So you understand how you can visualize stuff, how it's actually written in the backend. So it's not isolated environment at any point. And to also give you some practice for your interviews, we also introduce algorithm and data structures. So you're not left behind in those senses as well. You're given practice questions, you're given time to solve problems in the class. We have labs as well set up for that. So we do different kinds of data structures that are out there, how to understand them, how to use them, when to use them, understanding doing all sorts of comparisons that we need to make sure that we're making the best choices. And how do you answer those kinds of questions within the interview setting as well? So those stuff is covered as well. So that's the part where the actual development work happens. But we also do pipeline building, how to use version control systems like GitHub and Gitpod and GitLab, all these sorts of things that help you work in a team-based environment. And all of these tools, again, are used in the industry extensively. And how to that's exactly what we use here. We work with how to deploy your work on different tools and different deployment services. It could be Azure, it could be AWS, depending on what kind of cloud services you want to use. So we give access to all these sorts of things. But also understand how to create pipelines from your version control system to how it's getting deployed on your cloud services. So that's where the deployment part comes in after the development. And we also introduce a bit of mobile development for a month. We understand how to work with React Native. So that's the framework that we use for doing mobile development, understanding how to work with React Native to make it work for both Android and iOS users. So it makes you more flexible in terms of where you want to go in case mobile development is something that you want to get into. And at the end, there's a capstone project where it's a accumulation of what you've learned so far. So we have certain kind of bigger problem that makes sure that you're including everything, how to document stuff, how to version control stuff so that you have a history of your work. It's used by, you can use that to put on your resume and all these sorts of things. So we make sure that it's extensive enough that it's including everything that you've learned so far, and it's complex enough that it shows your skills and kinds of architectures that you've learned throughout the course. So that's how the entire course or entire bootcamp is laid out.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you, thank you. I already have some questions coming in here that we'll jump into those at the end here. But just in case anyone arrived more recently, 2 things. This whole session will be recorded for you, and the second, we're going to do the questions at the end. So please go ahead and keep putting them in. But we're not ignoring you entirely. We will get back to them, I promise. So. All right. So, and I kind of touched on this already a little bit previous. I mentioned just, how to kind of get into it, but just for the audience here, are there any sort of prerequisites or any sort of recommended prior knowledge before you enroll in the bootcamp here?
If you have a laptop, you can get into it. There are no strict prereqs as such, but you have basic understanding of how web works, which I think most people do these days. That sort of familiarity is totally okay. There's no need to know how to code, how the entire web development works, or know how to work with HTML, CSS, nothing of that sort. So just fresh off, we're going to give you everything to set those foundations in.
Amazing. So yeah, it truly is a beginner-friendly course for sure. So, all right, and I think you touched a little on this, but what programming languages and tools within that are taught in the bootcamp, and why were those ones chosen?
So primarily we use JavaScript, And I think I said this already, but it's one of the most used languages out there. Most of the programmers, especially the early developers that are hired, um, get to work in JavaScript environment, and that's exactly why we have that as a primary thing that we're using for our bootcamp. We still also introduce Python because there are a lot of new graduates jobs that are out there which are based for Python and Flask as a framework. So we introduce both of these to make sure that you're versatile in terms of what you can use. In terms of the frameworks, we have Node.js and React. Node.js is what is used for doing API development, backend development. And then React is what is used for front-end development, and React Native for mobile front-end development. Again, these are both versatile in their nature. They're widely used in the industry, and that's exactly why we use them. Past 5 years that I've worked in the industry, I've used some sort of a framework that's based on JavaScript. So it's fairly widely used out there. What else do we use? We have GitHub and Git for doing version control. Git is something that you need to know when you're working in a team. Regardless of which company you work for, they have some sort of like a system to control their repositories, their code, and all that sort of stuff goes with Git. There's no other tool to replace that. There's never going to be a tool to replace that. And we use that for doing version control. We do that every single day in our class, past 1 month, I think, in the course. So that's for version control. And for deployment purposes, we use containerization as a tool. So we use Docker for containerizing our code, and for deploying them, we use pipelines that are again built on GitHub. And we use cloud services from Azure or AWS, depending on your course instructor. So those are the services when it comes to deployment and DevOps. Yeah, I think those are the major ones. But to name a few that are used for testing purposes, we have Swagger, we have Postman that can work as like a client. We tend to give access to different kinds of IDEs. So VS Code is the one that we primarily use, but we have access to any other IDEs that you want to use, from JetBrains, anything of that sort. So give access to, again, whichever IDE or the environment that you're comfortable using. We also give access to Atlassian products. So in case you want to see how work is managed in a team-based environment, so I'll have access to Jira, so you can see what kind of tickets can be created, how agile environment works, how Scrum methodologies are put in place. All these sorts of things are again are discussed in the class. They may not be so technically used, but they are just again still make sure that you're aware that these tools exist and how to use them. And then again, of course, there's like AI integration part. So we have GitHub Copilot, we have ChatGPT, any other sort of these LLM tools that exist. We make sure that you're not unaware that these tools exist and how to use them, how to fasten your speed, how to understand how to use these tools, and how to prompt them to help you with your development process. I hope I didn't miss anything there. There's too many.
That was great. That was great. I think.
I think there's one important one that I missed. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh no. Go ahead.
We also give access. We also have a database that we do in our classes, and we do MongoDB primarily, but we also do SQL Server. So like SQLite is the one that we do in the classes, but we make sure that we give you access to all the resources in case you want to learn more in database stuff as well. So that's one of the other important ones to cover.
Perfect. Yeah, no, amazing. And I was just going to say the biggest takeaway here based on what you said too is that we're always kind of iterating on our tools and trying to make sure that they are the most up to date or ones that are actually being used in practice and in the actual industry. So I mean, that's a main focus of a boot camp, is trying to prepare people for real world situations versus traditional schooling, which kind of gives you some of the tools, but doesn't necessarily give you the scenarios and, everything exactly the same way. So,
Oh, tell me
cool.
about
Okay.
it. I was
Uh,
definitely not prepared after my university to get into the industry.
It's so common. I mean, there's so many people who actually take traditional courses and then end up going through a boot camp afterwards anyways, because it's like, geez, I just actually need something that's going to give me the oomph and the actual tools that I'm going to be using when I get launched out into the industry in a couple months. So,
100%.
um, cool. Okay. So, let's see here. That's literally my next question. How does the bootcamp prepare students for real world software development scenarios?
Okay. So this is a favorite question for me because I went to a traditional university program for computer science, and obviously it comes with the discipline to do engineering, to do computer science in general, but it doesn't exactly pay you for the kinds of tools you'd be using. It's exactly how our high school system is also set up. But universities are also like that. You don't know how the real world challenges are going to be. And that's exactly what we try to cater to. We make sure that there's hands-on learning projects to work on, simulate the real world examples and challenges. So it's not the easy stuff only, but we start off with the foundation stuff so that you understand how a tool works, how to work with it, how to code with it, all these sorts of things, but also go a step further than that and make sure that you're understanding that this is just not it, but also making sure that there's those real world challenges put in place to practice during those lab sessions. Some of these in-class sessions are also set up such that we do problems only. So we make sure that we do those real-world challenges together so we understand how to go through those. The second most important thing that I like about the bootcamp is that we cover the best practices for coding. So it's just not that you have to get through the assignment and get to the next one. It's not like that. You make sure that you're sticking to those best practices that are out there for programming or become a good software developer. And also cater to the cybersecurity field. So make sure that your code is not going to leak your data or is vulnerable or is open to like different kinds of attacks. So we make sure that there's like secure practices put in place as well when you're doing coding. So we make sure that all of these things are also put in place in our classes and our lessons that we're going through. So even if it's like, okay, we are going to work with Node.js, cool, but there's so many things that are put in, or the efforts that you have to put in to make sure that your API is robust enough that nobody can attack that or nobody can just use it on its own. There's authentication, authorization services put in place. So we also make sure that you're going through those real world challenges that exist so that you're ready to actually work in a team and be an asset and not just that you're trying to still understand what concepts exist. So all these sorts of concepts are covered and make sure that you're ready to work in the industry.
Amazing. And I was just looking at the next question. I think we're, in everything we're doing, we're kind of jumping ahead of ourselves and answering some of the stuff in advance. It just happens. It always happens. But so we mentioned that we keep our course content up to date and we try and do that. Is there any ways that you could kind of explain how we do that? Like, is there any trends that we pay attention to or any industry information that we kind of hone in on to kind of, and I don't know if if there's an answer to that. I'm for the audience, I prepared her with a lot of these questions in advance and I'm going a little off script right now. So, but yeah, is there anything that would help us kind of stay on trend or up to date that way?
I think the biggest advantage of going through Circuit Stream Bootcamp, and it doesn't have to be specific to software development, it can be applied to any bootcamps that we run, is that we bring in the industry professionals to make these courses, but also teach them as well. And we're ourselves as a team agile enough to like change stuff if there's something that doesn't look right, if there's something that we need to introduce to our students. And make sure that we are up to date with that. I mean, especially for my classes, I make sure that I have something that is not there in the instructor guide that I'm provided with. I make sure that I add whatever I need to give a holistic view of what is needed out of this concept, to understand out of this concept, basically. So I think the big advantage of Circuit Stream is that there's never going to be outdated knowledge, because the teachers or the instructors themselves come from the industry backgrounds. They are working as software developers or whatever kinds of developers that we need for our courses, and they make sure to align the content with the current trends, with whatever's upcoming in the industry.
Amazing. Yeah, that's a really good point. Just the fact that all of you guys, all the instructors, are actually working professionals. That's the easiest way to bring in the most up to date tools, because you guys are all paying attention to that. So, okay, so now we talked about this before, and there's actually a question in the chat on this right now too. But maybe could you talk a little bit more about the AI tools and how they're kind of integrated into the course?
So the most that AI tools that we integrate is the GitHub Copilot and ChatGPT. These tools are needed to power your development strategies. So how to use them to debug your code, how to troubleshoot your stuff. All those sorts of things are discussed and understood in terms of how to use them. The second part where we have AI integration is through learning to integrate or to use AI-powered APIs. So the backend that we are developing uses some of the other API tools or other APIs that have AI. So for instance, Hugging Face has a lot of APIs that we can use to integrate with our applications or our backend development, that we connect our backend with to integrate the AI to our to support our users with. So let's say I'm building an application and I have a backend for that, where I'm letting users populate some data or have some of the data from a database fetched shown onto the database onto the front end. That's the kind of most of the applications out there are like. In this process, we have API integrated with some of the AI APIs that are public facing, so that we can use them. So we integrate our own backend with those APIs. So we use those in order to use the AI, in order to basically include AI into our own applications. So we not necessarily build our own AI tools, but we leverage them in order to include them in our own development purposes. So we can have those AI tools within our own applications. And then also use GitHub Copilot, that some of the AI tools themselves that we use to debug our code or to troubleshoot some of our own stuff, how to go through some of the problems, how to break down some of the problems, so going through them. And then again, at the end, ChatGPT to make sure how to prompt it, how to get some of the solutions out of it, how to make sure that you're writing the right code, how to architect your stuff, all these sorts of things. So we learn how to do that, how to use these tools.
Amazing. And a follow-up question on AI, more industry, is, I mean, maybe utilizing your knowledge now of how we're kind of currently using the AI tools in the course. How would you envision the future of, and I know this is like a huge question overall, it's a pretty broad question, but how would you envision the future of software development with AI tools, just kind of knowing how they're already being supportive currently now?
So I'll give an example of how we use it at work. When I work as a software developer, there's so many things that are already out there. There's so many documentation on so many things that we don't have to reinvent from scratch. And I think AI in general helps us write better code, or write code faster at least, or it gives us a skeleton structure that we can get started with, and then add on that meat in there that we need based on whatever we are developing. So it has definitely helped me personally to code faster, make sure that I'm not making those stupid mistakes or missing some of the stuff that we would if we didn't have these tools to debug it for us. The future of software development, I think I saw a lot of people in the previous, one of these previous sessions that we did that were scared that is AI going to take up on our jobs or all these sorts of things. That's never going to happen. In fact, it's one of those things that is going to help us be better at what we do. It's going to obviously abstract a lot of stuff, but that's going towards making things easier for us. So we have to work with it to make sure that we're not unaware about it. And that's exactly why we have included such tools within our bootcamp, so that you're just not in an alien space. Oh, what is AI? That's not going to be the case. You know how to work with it. You know how those tools are going to help you debug your stuff. How are they going to help you when you're working in an industry as well? And I use them every single day. A small problem, I'm like, what is this? How do I work with this? But it helps you understand some of the concepts and make sure that you're not in an alien environment. But not that it's going to take up our space. It's just there to help us.
Yeah, I think we're a long ways away from it being able to actually capably do the jobs that humans do. I mean, have you seen it try to create a hand? It's quite funny. So.
Yeah, it's
And
going
I think
on in LinkedIn. Yeah.
we're getting better at that. But yeah, that's kind of the same sort of information I've heard from other industry professionals is basically exactly what you just said, Yashi, just that it's these tools are going to help us. They're going to get more effective, and they're going to get better at how we use them. But yeah, we're not in any sort of position anytime soon for them to kind of take over our position. So
There's one thing to add there as well, that they're using the information that already exists out there, and we were the ones to first bring that information online. So the creative part still resides on us.
That's a beautiful perspective. I haven't heard anybody put it like that yet, and I love that. I love that. We might quote you on that one, Yashi.
No, I'm sure someone else has also thought of this.
Okay, so next question I have for you. What sort of career support is provided in the boot camp through the actual course there? Like what sort of modules and stuff are kind of included there in the course?
There's the career or the portfolio building process that happens parallelly with the classes itself. So it happens every other Wednesday, I believe, where they go. I think when I might be the one to handle that, or maybe someone else does that for them. But they have that portfolio building on how to cater your resumes and all these sorts of things. But course-wise, the module that's most important is algorithms and data structures, which helps with the interview preparations and how to answer those questions that are not technically the work that you're going to do, but they're going to be brain teaser kinds of questions that are going to get asked in your technical rounds of the interview. So we spend about 8 lessons on that. So there's good time in understanding how to solve these problems, how to break down these problems, how to answer those questions in front of an interviewer as well. Okay, this is what I see. So walking through those problems is also needed for your interviews. So we do those sorts of practices within the class so that you understand how to go about doing pair programming or peer programming. That's exactly what you're going to do within your technical rounds of the interviews. So we do those sorts of mock interviews within the class when you're going through that. And I make sure to underline some of the stuff within the bootcamp that this is why this is going to get asked in the interview. So make sure that you keep a note of that. If this is working in an XYZ manner, why is it working? Those sorts of questions get asked in the interview, and we make sure that we're keeping a track of them, we're making notes of them, we're pointing them out, highlighting them whenever they come up.
Amazing. I was just also reading ahead a little bit here on the next question. I'm going to rephrase it a bit for you too, but so I was going to ask. So I guess what for people who are looking for career outcomes and they're moving into a boot camp like this one, what are some realistic expectations for the types of roles that they would qualify for? Because I often get asked from people, well, could I take this boot camp and be making $300,000 as a senior software developer at, you know, a top studio tomorrow. And so I like to kind of frame a realistic perspective with it and what types of roles people might be qualified for after this course.
Not tomorrow, but it's possible. I think it's a good starting point for any sort of development career that you want to take. It puts you in all sorts of directions that you want to, or it basically makes you ready for all sorts of development positions or roles that you want to take on. Like full stack, obviously, it covers front end and back end development, so you understand how that works. You can also be a front-end developer only or a back-end developer, so you can choose what you like more and hone that skill and be better at that. Or none of those, just be a mobile developer. You want to develop for something for mobile. So depending on what you like the most, it touches on all these sorts of skills that you need to take on those positions. With the deployment part, you can also be a DevOps engineer. It doesn't necessarily have to be a development role, but in terms of understanding how the development deployment operations work, so you can be part of the pipeline as well in the intermediary steps. In terms of the salary ranges, I feel like you can never expect to start off with a 300K salary, obviously, but does this put you in a position where you can get to that point? I think so, yes, because these are some of the skills that are still lacking in some of the new grads from schools that are like going through the traditional paths of doing computer science, and they miss out on some of the details, some of the concepts. Some of the tools that are really needed by the industry, and they don't cover that, which we do, and that's exactly what our USP is as well. So it does definitely prepare you to the point where you have those foundational skills in order to get to that point. But to start off, you can get started with any of these development positions and work your way up there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, more junior level positions are usually kind of the thing that we would guide people towards when you're starting. But the reality is with any boot camp or any education you're taking too, if you have any sort of prior knowledge that's transferable too, if you're combining that with the education, then that's going to help you advance a bit quicker than somebody who's starting off completely brand new. This is an example, not from our software course, but we also run a product management course. And I was just chatting with one of our students yesterday who was hired. He's not even completed the course yet. And I think actually that course is at like 50% higher rate before the course is even completed, which is crazy right now. But anyways, he just secured probably what would be considered like a high junior to mid-level position at a company. And that is because he kind of went into the boot camp with a bit of prior knowledge. But if he hadn't, he probably would have just applied for more of the junior roles and would have been considered for those ones instead. So just to give you kind of a topical example, it's not specifically for this course here, but just a relevant example from a human I was talking to yesterday in another one of our boot camps there. So, okay. And then how do you maintain a strong community and network how do we maintain a strong community and network among the current students and then the alumni once they've completed the course too?
We have some networking events that keep happening to make sure that students who have graduated come back, give them explain how their experience has been, how they feel like when they are in the industry, how the boot camp prepared them for the industry challenges. But throughout the course itself as well, you're connected through Discord community. You have access to asking questions to the instructors, to other students that are going through the course with you. There's like mentorship and advice and any other sorts of events that are happening that are always put out there. So there's that interactiveness that happens on Discord channels. In terms of in the class collaborations, we have some projects that we work on together. So I would usually have breakout rooms for students to work together in a group of like 2 to 3 or 4 or 5, depending on what kind of project we're working on, or take on some of the open source projects that are there on GitHub, which are basically industry projects that people have been contributing to, so understand how they have contributed, and we as a team work together to contribute at least one thing to that open source project. For instance, Node.js or JavaScript was open source to begin with, and it's become huge now. It's like started off as a very small project. So just working with those things to help build those relationships and also confidence that they can work within the tech industry.
Oh, 100%. And just 'cause when you mentioned the Discord server there, one thing I'll note or add to it is once our students complete the course, we don't kick them out of that. We allow them to stay in that server for life. So with the intent that we want you to interact with new students, we want current students to work together, we want graduates to work together. And oftentimes, I mean, great example would be from like our game development and game design boot camps, where we have a lot of students connecting afterwards to bring development and design together to build their games and do things like that. So just huge amount of support that way, and a lot of community building and feeling through Circuit Stream's network there. So, and then last question for you. What general advice would you give to someone who might be considering joining a boot camp like this one?
I think this is for someone who's really passionate about technology in general. You may not want to be a software developer at the end of this. That's totally fine, but it still prepares you to be in the tech industry, because it gives you those foundational knowledge and the concepts that you need to work in a tech environment. And you really need to be passionate about technology in general. It doesn't necessarily have to be that you're very interested in software development. But it is a challenging course. It gets you through understanding how software development actually works and how the entire world runs on web right now, which is transformative for me, because I didn't know that there's like pipes and like cables underneath our oceans until like a year or two ago. So it's really fascinating in that way, and understanding it from that perspective opens up your mind and your liking towards technology in general. Definitely did for me. But you need to be really dedicated towards this program or this course. There's a lot of stuff that you'll be learning. It is a humbling process, because one day you think you know everything, and the next day you're like, oh, we're starting from scratch again. I don't know what I'm doing here. So it's that always learning kind of mindset that you need to have to come into this boot camp. And it prepares you really well to get into the industry, work as a software developer with the skills that are needed, with confidence, and tackle those challenges. I have full faith in the students in my class that they are prepared to engage and ask questions and engage in those architectural level questions with the teams, and become an asset for any company within like first 6 months of starting. They're at that point now, which is, we've gone through like 50% of the course, I think, or maybe like 30%, yeah, which is really good.
That's amazing to hear that you've got that much confidence in them that early on in the course. I mean, I would have guessed that, but just to hear those numbers and hear that come out of your mouth is really impressive. So that's cool. That's really cool. Okay, so that was all of my official questions here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to shift you over to the side here, Yashi, and I'm going to put this back up on the screen. And I'm just going to share some quick information here, folks, on the upcoming cohort dates, the bootcamp pricing, and contact information. I think it's only 3 slides here. And then we're going to jump into the Q&A in about 30 seconds here. So just bear with me, guys. If it's okay, I'm just going to share some course info here for you guys and some contact stuff. So I'll start off here, with the bootcamp pricing. So the full bootcamp price is $14,995. We do also have payment plans for it. You can pay it over a period of time. I think 3 or 24 months are the options there. If you have any questions about that, guys, about the payment options, about anything like that, my best advice is to connect through to the admissions team. They can give you all of the support that you need there. They can let you know what that stuff's going to look like. The upcoming cohort dates are September 17th, and it will run straight through to June 10th. And then we also have one starting right after in October, which is great. Normally you have to wait, 2-3 months for the next cohort to kick off. So we have two here that are kind of back to back, and both would be available for new registrations. Actually, I shouldn't say that. We should double check and see how many seats we have left. So reach out to admissions and confirm, make sure there is a seat available. But those are the cohort dates that are coming up either way. And then in terms of reaching out to contact us, this is the easiest way. These phone numbers here, you can reach out to us directly at CircuitStream. You can reach to us through our UBC or McGill. And then at the bottom there, you can send an email to any of these email addresses, and somebody on the admissions team from either directly through CircuitStream, through UBC, or through McGill will answer, and they can go over the details with you there. And that's it. That's it. I just wanted to share some quick information before we jump into the audience Q&A part here. So I'll go ahead and get rid of my presentation now. And I think, based on what I saw, I think we have quite a few questions to go through here. So we'll start at the bottom here. What percentage of people secure a job during or after completing the boot camp? It's tough to say. I don't know. I'd have to get Wanai or somebody on the career team to give you the specific stats for this boot camp. It probably varies a little bit between all of them. And it also depends on how many cohorts we've run and if we have that data kind of available for people yet. So something topical, I know this isn't specific to software development, so I strongly apologize. That we can get some better answer here for you from the career team. But from our recent game development and game design cohorts, I think we had 93% of the career seeking folks secure before the boot camp or right after the boot camp, and that number's probably gone up afterwards now too. So I'd have to get specific stats on this one. Again, the easiest way to get the specific numbers here would probably be through connecting through to admissions. And in the meantime, we can confirm on the admission time from the admission team what the current rates are for that. But they're usually pretty impressive. I guess that's the best way I could put it for now. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me for that one, but what accommodations are provided for neurodiverse individuals? We basically will accommodate any type of learning needs or differences to the best that we can. So I know Erin is on our student team, and she will work with students to make certain concessions where we need to, just to make sure that we can kind of teach the lessons in the way that they need to be taught for different types of individuals there. So we'd probably want to connect with you and see what the specific needs would be, make sure that we could accommodate them, but as long as they're within our wheelhouse, we would absolutely do that for you. So, okay. I think I copied this question in here too. Yeah, I did. So, okay. So the next question came through as a question in here and then also in the chat. I didn't see it in here and then I copied it. So it's going to reappear again in a little bit, but we'll just ignore it the next time it comes up. But is this course a good starting point for a new high school graduate beginning his journey in software engineering? I would say 100% wholeheartedly. Yes, absolutely. You're a great, perfect case scenario for that. I can see Yashi nodding as well there. So, but I think we kind of touched on this already a few minutes ago, just talking about, who the course is relevant for. And it truly is made for people who are complete beginners into the industry. The only benefits to having some previous knowledge or experience is that you might be able to advance a little bit faster after taking the boot camp. But if you're completely brand new, if you're coming out of high school, this is an excellent boot camp to take. It's a great way to launch yourself into the industry. So, and probably a little bit quicker than it would be for traditional education. So. All right. How much aid and support is offered during each class? Are we completely on our own, or is it more of a class environment? I'll let you answer that one, Yashi.
It's more of a class environment. In terms of the aid and support during each class, we do follow alongs of whatever concept we are covering. So it's theory followed by how to actually do this now. So if let's say there's like backend development or algorithms that we are learning, so we first understand the concept, and once we are done with that, we learn how to actually apply that concept in our coding. So we do follow alongs of each and every concept that we cover in the class. I remember my class environment's not being followed along, so I don't know where the class environment is anymore, but for us, it's more of follow-alongs of the concepts that we are covering. And then we spend about like 20 minutes at the end to do any Q&A, make sure that everyone's up to speed. Also stop in between to make sure everyone's able to follow along if there are any questions, all these sorts of things. So there's ample amount of time spent to make sure that the concept that you're trying to deliver is actually receiving the way you want it to be, and people are able to follow, people are able to understand in the class. So there's definitely support during the class to make sure that you understand things. I also want to add that we have premium support available as well. So for any homework, any sort of assignment that you're working on, there's obviously that Discord channel that you can ask questions, and the instructor would be able to answer your questions within those Discord channels or after your classes as well. I tend to stick around. But there's premium support available, which you can hop onto and ask questions to the instructor who's running that premium support to answer any of your questions that you might want on a Zoom call, let's say. So that's also available. So I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And throughout the course, there's areas where you're kind of working as a group, and then there's areas where you kind of do some stuff on your own. Like obviously outside of the live class hours, you'll be doing some work on your own throughout the week. So those might be the points where you're kind of doing things a bit more on your own. So I guess in a way it's a combo, but in terms of the support levels and the it's incredibly supportive, and there's tons of opportunity to connect with the instructors for sure. So cool. Okay. So what programming languages will be taught in this boot camp, and to what depth? I think I don't know, Chesney, if you were in here when we talked about this before or not, but we can kind of touch on these ones again for sure if you'd like there, Yashi.
Sure. So we teach HTML, CSS, Node.js, JavaScript, React Native. These are the MongoDB, Postgres, and SQLite. These are the ones that we cover extensively, and the amount of things that we cover are more than enough to get you ready for taking on your first job. And then there are tools that we cover as well, which is for version control, which is Git and GitHub. So they're going to be extensively learned throughout as you're doing your course as well, which again is something that you'd be using in any team-based environment you'd be working in. And then there are tools to understand how product management is generally done. How would you be assigned tasks, which is learning how agile methodologies are or other Scrum methodologies are, how to make user stories, how to work with those user stories, how to create acceptance criteria for the work or the feature that you're developing. So understanding that sort of software development practices in general is something that we cover as well. Then we also do DevOps stuff and deployment stuff using AWS or Azure. So we choose one of these two cloud services. They're not covered fully because you can never cover them. There's so many services that both of these cloud providers have. But we'd be doing some of the deployment work, so we'd understand some of their functions for deployment only. So that's what the depth for cloud services is going to be. And then there's like containerization that we covered as well, which goes hand in hand for our deployment and DevOps work that we do, or to build pipelines to get your code shipped from your GitHub repo to the cloud. So there's that pipeline in between that we build as well. And that, again, is only for deployment only, as far as I remember. But yeah, that's the depth of concepts that we cover.
Amazing. Thank you. And then do we work with TypeScript?
We introduce it, but not to the same extent that we work with JavaScript for.
That one, it was a separate question, but it kind of leaded right in.
Just to add on, in case you have any questions there, TypeScript is based off of JavaScript. The only thing that's different between these two is that it's strongly typed, or not strongly, but it is typed. So if you understand JavaScript, moving on to TypeScript is like a piece of cake. So it won't be too hard for you to get a hold of TypeScript after learning JavaScript.
Cool. Okay. Let's see here. Is this a good course for somebody who wants to get into electronics and microcontrollers programming? This is a question for you for sure.
Only if I know how to do programming for electronics. I don't know because I haven't done that myself. So I'm not sure what the specifics are for microcontrollers and electronics, but they do use algorithms and data structures for sure. That's something that they use that I'm aware of. But other than that, it's more onto how to do software development in general as a field, not something specific to electronics, where you have to build gates and stuff, as far as I remember from my engineering time. But I'm not sure how to answer that question, honestly.
Well, I feel like it'd probably be a good starting point. Like the best thing you could do is probably take a closer look into electronics and microcontrollers, and what's needed in those levels of programming, what languages are used, like how it's kind of done. And then I don't know this for sure, but I'm assuming our course would probably teach you all the core fundamentals that would allow you to like then go into more niche areas like that. It's usually the
Yeah.
case, but before you sign up or commit to it, it'd probably be better to take a quick look at what's needed in those areas and just make sure that our course syllabus covers that and that we kind of go over those areas for you. But I'm assuming we probably do. It's we do general software development coverage, front end, back
Yeah.
end. It's full stack, so it's pretty good. So, okay. Are you going to use the same learning platforms as UBC extended learning, such as Canvas and Piazza?
We use D2L LMS, which looks very close to Canvas. Piazza, we don't use that. For answering any questions, yeah, it's all on D2L. It's pretty simple to use. A lot of institutions use that already, so it's very easy if you're used to using Canvas.
Correct. All right. And what are the attendance requirements for the live session lab times? If I miss an hour once in a while, is that permitted?
It is 100%. We totally understand that. All of our labs and all of our sessions in general are recorded, so you can get back onto them. And if you have any questions, again, pop them in the Discord channel, ask them at the end of the classes, or use support, premium support for that. There's like multiple ways you can get access to some sort of a person to answer your question.
Absolutely. All right. I'm currently learning French full time, and I don't work. I'd love to take back the road in the IT industry since I've lost track. Can I sign up for financial aid if I can't afford it, or any arrangements at all? So you'd have to take a look. I think there are different types of financial aid that are available for the course. Our admissions team is way more well versed in that than I am. So the best thing to do would be connect with them. They could kind of let you know what that would look like. I don't know the specific exact options that are available here, but they certainly, and I think on the website too, if you go to circuitstream.com, click through the courses and then take a look at the financing area. I think there's some suggestions there for different types of financial aid that would be available for you too. So the best thing I can say is just connect with the admissions team, and they'll let you know all of the options that are there for you. And then if there's one that works, then you can take a look at registering. Just see what works the best for you there. So, can you please explain more about the AI part? I think this one came in a while ago, and we talked quite a bit about it after I saw that question come in. So I think we're okay there. But Mila, if there's anything else that you were looking to know about the AI part, just let us know. And then this is the question that we already answered. I put this in here, but it was already added below. So we'll just skip that one. This one was added a couple times here. Please share more details on the 24-month payment plan. So John, again, the best people to connect with would be the admissions team for that. They'll be able to give you the specifics. They can put together quotes and invoices and all that sort of fun stuff too, and let you know what specific dollar amounts would look like. So if you reach out to them, I'll share the screen again for you guys, just in case anybody didn't get it before. But I just want to make sure you have access to get to connecting with the team there. So that's all the contact details there. If you have any questions, like anybody in the audience who has any questions about if there's still seats available in the upcoming cohorts, if pricing information, payment information, anything like that. This is the best way to do it. Just reach out to either CircuitStream direct, reach out through UBC or McGill using this contact information here, and we can give you all the information there that you need. So, and likely email it to you, so you've got like a good copy of it to refer back to as well. So that is the contact details. And then if I already have completed an online bootcamp, such as Mimo, how does your bootcamp compare in terms of extensiveness to your competitors? What is your key differentiating element? It's hard to say. Like we probably don't have one. We probably do things like, I'd say anybody who's offering any sort of education is likely not doing it exactly the same way as the other people are. So I know what sets us apart is, we're the only company working in Canada right now that's kind of partnered with these top universities offering courses in these areas. That sets us apart quite significantly in a lot of these areas, I should say. I work for this company. I've been with this company for 3 years. I know the passion levels that are here. I know the quality of the instructors that we have. I know that we're always iterating on the materials that we offer. So what I can say is I can't really speak to those things about any other company or any other courses, because I don't know. I wouldn't really know exactly what their methodologies are and what their beliefs are within the company. But for us, we try and keep the information the most up to date that we possibly can. We're working with the top universities. We have amazing corporate partners. We have hiring opportunities. We offer career support. There's just a lot of things that we do really well, and some of those are probably what sets us apart. I just couldn't say exactly what they are compared to any one specific competitor, kind of thing. So hopefully that helps. I'm hoping. In a real job, do you work alone on a project like you? Wait, in a real job, do you work alone on a project like you have to code everything, or is it in a team where you only work in a section? Will you have instructors on how to do it, or will you have to invent your coding?
You'll be embedded in a team usually, so you are almost never working alone on a project and taking on that project by yourself, especially when you're starting new. So that's never going to happen in your lifetime, I think. You'd always be in a team. You'd always be dealing with someone with you. As a new developer, you're usually put onto projects that are already built, so you're developing something off of what's already done. So you'd be working on a specific section of that project, or building some of the features that are smaller to begin with, and then move on to making something more complex. Will you have instructions on how to do it? There would be instructions in general how to tackle a problem, but not exactly how to write the code. You'd be expected to know how to write the code, like how to tackle it. If I'm trying to do summation of two numbers, if I'm building a calculation app or a calculator app, and you have to add two numbers, so that writing part of how to add these two numbers when they come in as an input is something that you're going to do yourself. But you just be given generic instructions. Okay, yeah, you'd be given such and such as inputs. You're hoping that we'd have this as a response back from this function call. Okay, cool. I can work with these two strings and then write my stuff for it. That's what you'd be expected to do.
Amazing. Okay. Is there any tradition certificate of study for your partner institutions in Canada? So I think I'm understanding this. So the certificates we offer through our course are CircuitStream, and then also backed by the university that they're offered through. So if you get a certificate and you took the course through UBC EXL, then the certificate will say CircuitStream and UBC on it. And similarly, the same thing with McGill. It would say CircuitStream and McGill on it that way once you've completed the course. But you also have the option of taking it just directly through CircuitStream and getting the certification without the university. You can do any of those. Is this an in-person class or remote classes? And if it's in person, where are they taking place? So all of our adult programs and boot camps right now are all currently offered online. So you don't need to relocate for them. You don't need to go to any other locations, but they are live taught. So they are live taught, but remote. So you can be anywhere in the world, but you're also going to be connecting directly with humans. Okay, and what does the weekly schedule look like, and what are the time zones for the live sessions?
You have 2.5 hours of classes twice in a week. Usually happen on Tuesdays and Thursdays right now, from 6:30 to 9, and that's Pacific. So in the evenings, on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Amazing. And I think we've got a few different time zones there too. But if you go to our website and look at the any course page, if you just scroll down, it'll tell you the time zones that are available for that course. They might differ slightly between them, so I just wanted to kind of guide you to the course pages for that info. It'll give you the best, or the admissions team, they can tell you that too for sure. So. Is it needed? One thing I just because I saw a couple questions come up here that we've talked about previous. In case anyone is new in here too, this whole session is recorded and will be sent out to you. And one thing I also wanted to mention quick is I did drop some polls in here earlier in the presentation. So for anybody who's still in the room here now, if you haven't had a chance to fill out the polls, feel free to go ahead and do that. But the next question here is it needed for some previous experience for the course, and how much is the job market? Or how is the job market for recent graduates from this program? So we've kind of hit on this a few times. If you certainly don't need any previous experience at all, you can be a complete beginner. But if you do have a little bit of a experience, whatever it may be, the beginning of the course might be a bit of a refresher for you for the first week or so. Just depends on what you know and what sort of experience you're kind of bringing in. And then the job market from recent graduates. From this program. Again, I'd want to connect with our career team to get the specific stats there on the outcomes from software. I don't want to misquote or say any numbers or anything wrong in the event here. So that's probably the safest way to do it. But all I can say is the only number I had in my head recently, because I just was talking about it like yesterday with the team, was the game development and design and the recent boot camps. And I know that 93% of the job seeking students had at that point already received or been hired for some sort of opportunity. So that's the most topical stat I can pull off, like just out of my head right now. But if you connect with the admissions team, they can connect you through to the career outcomes, or they can at least connect directly and provide you with more of that information there. So Antonio, I hope that helps there. But please reach out and we can give you more details there. And how do we apply for this course? So you can go directly to the websites. Let's see if we have a link here. Let me see if I've got one. If Courtney, are you still in the room? I'm going to check and see if one of our staff members is in the room. I don't think she is now, but if you give me just a second here, guys, I will give you a link for this. It's existing somewhere in my notes here, I'm pretty sure. But the answer to that question is you just go to the course page and just hit the apply, or you reach out to the admissions team. So you know what? That's what I'll do. I'll share this contact information for you guys one last time. If you want to apply for the course, this is the easiest way to do it here. Just reach out to this contact information, or if you want to just do it via web, just go to circuitstream.com, go to the adult courses and click through. That's going to give you the circuit stream option. If you're looking for UBC or McGill specific, just reach out to the contact details here, and the admissions team can get you set up right away. So hopefully that helps. I'm going to give you the direct access link in the chat here. Just bear with me for 1 second here, folks. I probably should have had some of these links ready to go, but I'm just going to put this one in here. So that's the link directly to Circuit Stream's website and the Software Development Bootcamp that we offer there. So you can do request the syllabus, or you can apply. And I'm also going to send follow-up emails to you guys in the next couple of days here, probably over the weekend or maybe tomorrow. So look for those follow-up emails, and I'll make sure in that email that I send that I give you guys a direct button or link so that you can click through for the course application. So I think that's it. I'm going to close this and bring us back up here. Let me check. I think another question may have just came in. Is there a benefit to taking the course directly through CircuitStream versus through the uni? The course is exactly the same. It's just dependent on how you'd want to do it. We have a lot of people who kind of follow us at CircuitStream and love to take the courses directly through us. But the reality is, if you just want the backing of any of our university partners in addition to, the course is going to be the same. All of the classes kind of feed into the same online spaces. So there's really no difference in the content at all. The only difference there, Renee, would just be the certification that you get at the end. So it's entirely up to you what you'd prefer that way. And I think that's it. We have a thank you very much for your time, Tyler and Yashi, in the chat there. And thank you as well, Marcelo, for coming in. Thank you, everyone, for coming into the session today. And huge thank you to you, Yashi, for taking the time out of your schedule to share all of this information about the course. Invaluable details. I couldn't have done it all on my own. So I appreciate you being here wholeheartedly. So thank you so much for joining today.
No worries. Thanks for having me. I hope I was able to answer some of the questions there.
Oh yeah, like I said, way better than I would have if I tried to answer some of those more technical ones. So yeah, and I'll have you back again, Yashi, for sure in the future. We'll do another one of these together in not too long. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Take a look at our website if you're going to circuitstream.com. At the bottom of the main page, there's a little events tab there, and if you click that, you can see all of the upcoming events that we have. We do information sessions and industry sessions like this all the time. So yeah, feel free to register. I think we've actually got an industry coding workshop, a software coding workshop coming up in September. I think that should be posted now. So if you go and click on circuitstream.com, you can register for that upcoming event too. So, but that aside, thank you all again. I will end the event here. I hope everyone has a fantastic Thursday, and we look forward to seeing you at our next event. Cheers. Bye, everyone.